Welcome to Debbie Tales YouTube channel. Jacob is a biblical character renowned for his bravery. His courage to face the angel of God is unmatched. Today we dive deep into the life of Jacob, the son of Isaac and Rebekah, and the twin brother of Esau. His story is one of struggle, transformation, and divine encounters. From his early days of rivalry with his brother Esau to his significant spiritual encounters that led to his transformation into Israel, Jacob's journey is filled with compelling lessons and timeless themes. Join me as we explore his life, his challenges, and his legacy that shaped the history of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now let's delve into the detailed narrative of Jacob's life, starting with his miraculous birth and the prophecy that set the stage for his extraordinary journey. Jacob was the second son of Isaac and Rebekah, and the twin brother of Esau. The story of Jacob's birth is found in the book of Genesis, chapters 25 and 27, which describes significant events that would shape his destiny and the future of Israel. Isaac, the son of Abraham and Sarah, married Rebekah when he was 40 years old. However, Rebekah was barren for many years, and the couple remained childless. Isaac, demonstrating his faith and dependence on God, prayed earnestly for his wife. God answered Isaac's prayers, and Rebekah conceived. Genesis 25:20-21. Rebekah's pregnancy was particularly difficult. She experienced an unusual and tumultuous struggle within her womb, which caused her great distress. Seeking to understand the cause of this unusual turmoil, she inquired of the Lord. God's response to her was profound and prophetic. God revealed to Rebekah that she was carrying twins, but not just any twins. These twins would represent two nations, and their destinies were intertwined in a significant way. The prophecy given to Rebekah stated, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." Genesis 25:23. This prophecy foretold that the two sons would become the ancestors of two different nations, and it established that the younger son would surpass the older in terms of prominence and dominance. When the time came for Rebekah to give birth, she delivered twin boys. The first to be born was Esau, described as red and hairy, which were distinguishing physical traits. Genesis 25:25. Esau's name is derived from a root meaning hairy, reflecting his appearance at birth. Jacob, the second twin, was born immediately after, grasping Esau's heel with his hand. This act of holding onto Esau's heel was symbolic and led to his name, Jacob, which can mean he grasps the heel or he deceives. Genesis 25:26. The act of Jacob grasping Esau's heel foreshadowed the future struggles and rivalry between the two brothers. As the twins grew, their differences became more pronounced. Esau became a skilled hunter and a man of the field, favored by his father Isaac, while Jacob was a quiet man who stayed among the tents, favored by his mother Rebekah. This favoritism from their parents further fueled the rivalry and tension between the brothers, leading to significant events such as Jacob obtaining Esau's birthright and blessing through cunning and deception. Isaac, the son of Abraham, was growing old and had become nearly blind. In his advanced age, he decided it was time to bestow his blessing upon his eldest son, Esau. In the culture of the time, the father's blessing was highly significant. It conferred not only material inheritance but also a spiritual and prophetic future. This blessing was especially crucial in the lineage of Abraham, as it carried the promises God made to Abraham about his descendants and their future. Isaac called Esau and requested that he go out to hunt game and prepare a savory meal, as Esau was a skilled hunter and his father's favorite. Isaac intended to eat the meal and then bless Esau. Esau eagerly set out to fulfill his father's request, unaware of the events that were about to unfold. Rebekah overheard Isaac's conversation with Esau. Remembering the prophecy that the older would serve the younger and favoring Jacob, she devised a plan to ensure that Jacob would receive Isaac's blessing instead of Esau. Rebekah's actions were motivated by her belief in the prophecy and her preference for Jacob. Rebekah instructed Jacob to bring her 2 young goats from their flock. She prepared a delicious meal from them, similar to the kind Isaac loved. Knowing that Jacob and Esau were quite different in appearance and texture, Esau being hairy and Jacob having smooth skin, Rebekah dressed Jacob in Esau's best clothes. She also covered Jacob's hands and the smooth part of his neck with the skins of the young goats to mimic Esau's hairy skin. Jacob, dressed in Esau's clothes and covered in goat skins, took the prepared meal to his father. When Isaac asked who was there, Jacob claimed to be Esau. Isaac was initially suspicious because he did not recognize Jacob's voice as Esau's. However, Jacob's insistence, along with the smell of Esau's clothes and the feel of the goat skins, convinced Isaac. He asked to feel Jacob's hands and remarked, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of the hands of Esau." Isaac also smelled Esau's clothes, which reassured him further. Convinced by the disguise, Isaac ate the meal Jacob presented and then blessed him. The blessing Isaac bestowed was profound, encompassing prosperity, dominion, and the fulfillment of God's promises to Abraham. "May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness and abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed and those who bless you be blessed." After receiving the blessing, Jacob left his father's presence just before Esau returned from his hunt. Esau prepared his own meal and brought it to Isaac, only to discover that Jacob had already deceived Isaac and received the blessing meant for him. Esau was devastated and furious, and Isaac trembled violently when he realized he had been deceived. Esau begged for a blessing of his own, but Isaac's prophetic blessing for Jacob could not be revoked. Isaac did bless Esau, but it was of a different nature, foretelling a harsher future and eventual rebellion against Jacob's dominance. This event was crucial in several ways. It fulfilled the prophecy given to Rebekah that the older would serve the younger. It established Jacob's role in the lineage of the patriarchs, through whom the 12 tribes of Israel would come. It highlighted the theme of God's sovereignty and his ability to work through human actions, even deceitful ones, to fulfill his divine plans. Jacob's deceit to obtain Isaac's blessing is a pivotal episode in the biblical narrative. It demonstrates the complexity of human relationships and divine providence. Despite the moral ambiguities and family strife, God's purposes moved forward, shaping the destiny of Jacob and the nation of Israel that would descend from him. After deceiving his father Isaac and obtaining the blessing meant for Esau, Jacob faced the immediate threat of Esau's wrath. Esau was furious and plotted to kill Jacob once their father passed away. Rebekah, aware of Esau's intentions, devised a plan to protect Jacob. Rebekah instructed Jacob to flee to Haran, to the house of her brother Laban, until Esau's anger subsided. Isaac, agreeing with Rebekah's suggestion, blessed Jacob again and sent him away to find a wife from Laban's family, further securing Jacob's safety and future. As Jacob journeyed from Beersheba toward Haran, he stopped for the night at a place that would later be known as Bethel. Here, with only a stone for a pillow, he lay down to sleep. During the night, Jacob had a profound and transformative dream. Jacob saw a ladder or staircase reaching from the earth up to heaven. This ladder was not just a physical structure but a symbolic representation of a connection between the divine and the earthly realms. On this ladder, angels were ascending and descending. This vision symbolized ongoing communication and interaction between God and humanity. It showed that God was actively involved in the world and attentive to what was happening on earth. Above the ladder stood the Lord, who spoke directly to Jacob. This direct communication from God was a pivotal moment in Jacob's spiritual journey. In the dream, God reaffirmed the covenant he had made with Abraham and Isaac, now extending it to Jacob. The promises included, "The land on which you lie I will give to you and to your descendants." This promise of land was central to the covenant, affirming that Jacob and his descendants would inherit the land of Canaan. "Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south." This promise indicated that Jacob's offspring would be exceedingly numerous and spread across the land. "All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring." This reiterated the Abrahamic promise that through Jacob's lineage, the entire world would be blessed, pointing to the future impact of his descendants. "I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land." I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." God assured Jacob of his constant presence, guidance, and protection throughout his journey and promised to bring him back to the land of Canaan. When Jacob awoke from his dream, he was deeply moved by the divine encounter. He recognized the significance of the place and expressed his awe, saying, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it." Jacob named the place Bethel, meaning house of God, acknowledging it as a sacred site where he had encountered God's presence. Jacob made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God, and this stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house. And of all that you give me I will give you a tenth." Jacob's vow was a commitment to recognize and worship God if God fulfilled his promises, reflecting Jacob's growing faith and dependence on God. This dream at Bethel was a turning point in Jacob's life. It marked his first personal encounter with God, reinforcing the divine promises and covenant. The event had several key implications. The dream reaffirmed God's covenant with Jacob, continuing the promises made to Abraham and Isaac, and solidifying Jacob's role in God's plan. God's promise of presence and protection reassured Jacob, providing him with the confidence to continue his journey and face the challenges ahead. The encounter sparked a spiritual awakening in Jacob, leading him to recognize and honor God's presence and commit to worship and tithing. Bethel became an important spiritual landmark for Jacob and his descendants, symbolizing God's presence and faithfulness. After Jacob left Bethel, several significant events unfolded as he journeyed to Haran and lived with his uncle Laban. These events are detailed in Genesis 29-31 and highlight Jacob's experiences, relationships, and continued encounters with God. Upon arriving in Haran, Jacob encountered shepherds near a well. There, he met Rachel, Laban's younger daughter, who came to water her father's sheep. Jacob helped her by rolling away the stone from the well's mouth and watering her flock. Rachel quickly informed her father, Laban, about Jacob. Laban warmly welcomed Jacob into his home, recognizing him as his nephew. Jacob stayed with Laban and began working for him. After a month, Laban offered to pay Jacob for his work. Jacob, in love with Rachel, agreed to work for Laban for 7 years in exchange for Rachel's hand in marriage. After the 7 years, Laban deceitfully gave Jacob his older daughter, Leah, instead of Rachel. Jacob, unaware of the switch until the morning after the wedding night, confronted Laban. Laban justified his actions by explaining the custom that the older daughter must marry first. He then offered Rachel in exchange for another 7 years of work. Jacob agreed and married Rachel a week later, beginning another 7 years of service to Laban. Though Jacob loved Rachel more, Leah bore him children first, leading to a complex family dynamic. During his time in Haran, Jacob fathered 12 sons and 1 daughter through his 2 wives, Leah and Rachel, and their maidservants, Zilpah and Bilhah. The sons became the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel. After the birth of Joseph, Jacob asked Laban to send him back to his homeland. Laban, recognizing that Jacob's presence brought him prosperity, convinced Jacob to stay by agreeing to a new wage arrangement. Jacob proposed that he would take all the speckled, spotted, and dark-colored sheep and goats as his wages. Using selective breeding techniques, Jacob became exceedingly prosperous, acquiring large flocks, servants, camels, and donkeys. This growing wealth led to tension between Jacob and Laban's sons, who felt Jacob was taking their father's wealth. Seeing the growing hostility, and after receiving a command from God to return to his homeland, Jacob decided to leave Haran secretly. He discussed his plan with Rachel and Leah, who supported him. Jacob and his family left without informing Laban, taking all their livestock and possessions. Unbeknownst to Jacob, Rachel stole her father's household gods. Laban pursued Jacob and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. After a tense confrontation, Laban accused Jacob of stealing his household gods. Jacob, unaware of Rachel's actions, allowed Laban to search their belongings. Rachel cleverly hid the idols, preventing their discovery. After resolving their differences, Jacob and Laban made a covenant of peace at Mizpah, erecting a heap of stones as a witness between them. They agreed not to harm each other and parted ways peacefully. As Jacob returned to Canaan, he prepared to meet Esau, fearing his brother's potential hostility. He sent messengers ahead with gifts and divided his family and flocks into 2 camps to minimize risk. The night before meeting Esau, Jacob was left alone after sending his family and possessions across the Jabbok River. It was during this solitary time that he encountered a mysterious man. The man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name, Jacob?" He answered. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." Jacob said, "Please tell me your name," but he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." The sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip. Following this intense spiritual experience, Jacob approached his meeting with Esau with renewed confidence and humility. To his relief, Esau greeted him warmly and the brothers reconciled. Jacob's fears were allayed, and this reconciliation was another testament to his transformed character and God's faithfulness. Jacob settled in Shechem, where his daughter Dinah was violated by Shechem, the son of Hamor. In retaliation, Jacob's sons Simeon and Levi deceived and massacred the men of Shechem, leading to further tension and the need to move again. God instructed Jacob to go to Bethel. There, Jacob built an altar, and God reaffirmed his covenant, blessing Jacob and renaming him Israel again. This reaffirmation solidified Jacob's role in God's plan. After Jacob left Bethel, his journey was marked by significant personal and familial developments. He experienced profound spiritual encounters, navigated complex relationships, and witnessed the fulfillment of God's promises through his growing family. Jacob's life, marked by struggle, deception, and divine encounters, ultimately led to the establishment of the 12 tribes of Israel, shaping the future of the Israelite nation. Jacob, now called Israel, settled with his family in the region of Hebron in Canaan. This location was significant as it connected Jacob to his father Isaac and grandfather Abraham, anchoring his family in the land that God had promised to his descendants. This settlement in Hebron marked the end of Jacob's extensive journeys and the establishment of his family in the land that would become central to the history of the Israelites.